few years ago, back in, it's 2007, so it's 14 years ago, so it wasn't a few. I was watching the Vikings play the Green Bay Packers. It was Adrian Peterson's rookie year. I'll never forget it. He had 11 carries for 41 yards. It looked like he tore his ACL on a play, and he came back a couple weeks later and was okay. But there was something that I took away from that game that was bigger than just how good Adrian Peterson was going to be, and really how much help the Vikings needed, to be honest. But there was a couple things I took away. Number one, obviously the Vikings needed help. And number two, sometimes teams need a wake-up call. And I think that's kind of what we saw a little bit with the Las Vegas Raiders last night. Now, I need to preface this by saying it was not a pretty loss. We all saw what it was. But I think that sometimes when teams fight, have you guys ever seen the Replacements? It's one of the greatest football movies of all times, other than like Remember the Titans. Although obviously not better than Remember the Titans, but it's still one of the better ones. But The Replacements, there's a line in there from Keanu Reeves where he talks about quicksand. The harder you fight, the more you sink. And I've been a part of those losses, whether it was high school or college, and I can tell you it's not any fun. It's absolutely not any fun. The harder you fight, the deeper you sink, and you can't really do anything about it, and it's a helpless feeling. I think that's a little bit what the Raiders kind of experienced last night. Now, there was points throughout the game where they were in it. They were still in it, and there were just times where they just couldn't quite make a play, or Patrick Mahomes just was himself and made a play. That's another thing is I think people forget is, yes, the Chiefs have not exactly been themselves, but they're still one of the best teams in the AFC. Now, the AFC West, I know the Raiders took home a loss here, but still far from over. The AFC West, this is why I think this loss could actually, as the saying goes, you learn more from your losses than you do from your wins. I think this loss could do a lot for the Raiders because obviously the week before that they lost against the Giants, which wasn't great, but then they came back with, and I think that kind of spoke to, okay, if you have the same amount of preparation and execution as you did for the Giants against the Chiefs, you're going to get shellacked. And that's kind of what happened. You saw that the Chiefs just looked dominant, but I don't really think that's an accurate representation. Now, obviously, the Chiefs are one of the best teams in the AFC, but the Raiders are not a team to truffle with, whatever. The point is this. I think at the end of the day, you learn more from your losses. And I think that the Raiders are going to learn a lot from this loss. That's funny. Back in that 2007 season when Adrian Peterson went down, the Vikings went on a 3-game winning streak after that 31-0 or 38-0 loss to the Packers. I think we could see something to that effect here because the Raiders, it just seemed like, it's one of those games where not a lot went right. And you're going to have those games. It's just, quicksand games, like we said, but now they've got some teams up here that are good, but they can also beat before they play the Chiefs yet again and can turn around their season and find a way to take the AFC West and the rest of the AFC. I think they can absolutely do it. So, you got games against the Bengals, you got games against the Cowboys, and then you go to play the Washington football team on December 5th. So there are games here all up and along this that the Raiders could get their season back on track. Potentially a 3-game winning streak before they go, just like the 2007 Vikings, before the Raiders go back and play the Chiefs again. I don't know. I think it's certainly possible, and I think with how much hope this team does have and talent that this team does have, I think it is very plausible. But like we said, I think, again, you learn more from your losses, and sometimes teams need a wake-up call. I think this is one of those moments where you go back to the drawing board just to figure out, okay, what worked, what didn't, and I think it all starts honestly on defense. Obviously, they need to do a better job of stopping the run, not necessarily against the Chiefs, but just in general. But I also think, obviously they got fooled on a couple of pass plays. And by the way, also, I'm well aware that Deshaun Jackson, he was a spark. 38-yard pass play, and then he fumbled it. So, not all sparks are good. I don't know. I'm sorry. But I do know that at the end of the day, there's a lot to be excited about with this team. You saw a guy like Bryan Edwards, who we're going to do a video about later in the week, about getting him the football more now that Henry Ruggs is out. You saw Hunter Renfrow do Hunter Renfrow things. Darren Waller, I think you're going to have to get him the ball more. Josh Jacobs. The Raiders weren't able to exactly run the football either. So I think, it was a rough go-around, and I think it was kind of game tempo because they fell behind and they had to kind of pass to get back into it. But if this Raiders team can run the football, can get back to what it was doing on defense for the first 3 weeks of the season, if it can go back to if it can stop the run, if it can get a lot of this, some of this offensive efficiency together, because I think that was a big problem last night too, was third downs. But if they can get back to the same way and same team this was, and and I think Rich Bisaccia is going to get this team back and going in the right direction. I think it could be a dangerous team. And like we said from the very beginning, sometimes teams need wake-up calls, and it's totally understandable. And hey, my Vikings took care of the Chargers, so we'll see what happens for the rest of the AFC West this year. And I mean, Chargers are still good, so this is going to be a tight race, but I think the Raiders can pull it out and do some good things. But let us know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. Leave a like and a comment. It helps people find the show. We greatly appreciate all the support that we've gotten and continue to get. You guys are all truthfully awesome, and we love every single one of you. Check out our website at sportsbriefpodcast.com. Also in the description down below, you'll find all of our social media platforms, so give us a like and a follow there. Give us a listen and sub on iTunes. And finally, if you have anything you'd like us to cover, make sure you send us an email at thesportsbp@yahoo.com or put in the comment section down below, and we'd be glad to cover it. But let us know what you think about the Raiders needing a wake-up call.